2018, independent investigative journalist Winston Knowles, who's also known as Otto the Watchdog, stood on a public street corner in Royce City, Texas, displaying various signs, some of which contained profanity. After about 15 minutes, Sergeant Nick Dial of the Royce City Police Department responded to complaints regarding Mr. Knowles' signs, along with 2 other officers. While investigating the complaints, Sergeant Dial hit Mr. Knowles' signs out of his hands, and Mr. Knowles was arrested and charged with disorderly conduct and resisting arrest. These charges were eventually dropped, and on December 18, 2020, Mr. Knowles filed a pro se civil rights lawsuit in the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Texas. Now, although Mr. Knowles originally filed the complaint himself, he later secured representation from attorney Daniel Alexander, who deposed Sergeant Dial as part of the discovery process in the lawsuit.
Regarding the people that complained about the contents of Knowles' signs, who were those people?
I do know one of them was Janet Nickel, but I do not know who the other people are.
How did the complainers complain to you? Did they talk to you?
One of them did.
What did they say?
They said that there was a gentleman holding signs down, gave the location, that had vulgar language on them and that were offensive.
Did they tell you why they thought the signs were offensive?
No.
Did they tell you what the contents of the signs were specifically, the words?
Well, I only spoke to the one gentleman, and he said there was offensive language on the signs.
And that was the...
Anybody can refuse anything. That is what a Texas police sergeant admitted under oath when asked if a man had the right to say no to a police search. A sergeant with 16 years on the job confirmed a citizen can refuse. Then he explained why he arrested that same citizen minutes after he refused. I did not hit the signs hard. Did you hit them hard? Don't know. Softly? I don't know what your definition of hard and soft is. A 16-year officer, under oath, unable to describe force he used with his own hand minutes earlier.
You have the right to see those signs.
Well, it's part of our investigation.
Did Mr. Knowles have the right to refuse showing you the signs?
Anybody can refuse anything.
Objection form.
Why did you hit the sign so hard?
Objection form.
I did not hit the signs hard.
Did you hit the signs hard?
I don't know.
Objection form.
Did you hit them softly?
Same objection.
I don't know what your definition of hard and soft is, and that was 5 years ago.
How do you define hard and soft? You can use your own definition, please.
In regards to what?
The level of force that you applied to the signs.
Objection form.
I mean, I don't know how I would describe getting a sign soft or hard.
Why didn't you use less force when touching the signs?
Objection.
I didn't know I used too much force.
Could you have used less force when touching the signs?
Objection form.
In regards to what? I mean, what was it?
Then came the real target. Why detain him at all? Dial admitted that without the phone complaints, Knowles would not have been arrested. Read that carefully. The arrest was never about what Knowles said. It was about who got offended and who dialed a phone. That is the opposite of how the First Amendment works.
Only person that told you they were offended by the signs?
Other than the calls that we received that dispatched to us, I verbally only spoke to the one gentleman.
Why did you slap the signs from Knowles' hands?
What am I doing?
Okay, can I see your other signs?
No, leave my seat away.
Sir, we've got a complaint of you out here holding up profanities.
Okay.
Okay, if you don't let me look at your sign, I'll take you in custody for disorderly conduct.
I'm not being disorderly.
Okay. I'm not going to tell you again. All right?
I don't consent to any searches or seizures.
Okay. This is offensive to people that are driving by. And families that are driving by. Yes, it's disorderly conduct.
What's the penal code?
It's disorderly conduct.
Can you read that to me?
It's disorderly conduct.
Okay.
You have your ID on you?
No.
Okay. Now you're filling the ID.
I don't have my
Put your hands right here.
As I explained earlier, one, it was an officer safety issue because I don't know what the signs are made out of or what they were. They could be used as a weapon. And secondly, we were still investigating whether a crime had been committed. And he was unwilling to show us what the other two signs or what the sign says other than what we could see.
Did you believe that Mr. Knowles had an obligation to give you those signs?
What do you mean, an obligation?
Did you have the right to see those signs?
Well, as part of our investigation,
Did Mr. Knowles have the right to refuse showing you the signs?
anybody can refuse anything.
Objection form.
Why did you hit the sign so hard?
Objection form.
I did not hit the signs hard.
Did you hit the signs hard?
Here is the ticking clock question. If police can arrest you the moment enough people call in offended, how many of your own opinions would survive that same test today? If offense is the standard, nobody's speech is actually safe. Let's translate the law simply. The Supreme Court protects almost all speech except one narrow category: fighting words. From the 1942 case, Chaplinsky v. New Hampshire. Face-to-face insults aimed at one person, likely to trigger immediate violence. Almost nothing qualifies.
Don't know.
Objection form.
Did you hit them softly?
Same objection.
I don't know what your definition of hard and soft is, and that was 5 years ago.
How do you define hard and soft? You can use your own definition, please.
In regards to what?
The level of force that you applied to the signs.
Objection form.
I mean, I don't know how I would describe getting a sign soft or hard.
Why didn't you use less force when touching the signs?
Objection.
I didn't know I used too much force.
Could you have used less force when touching the signs?
Objection form.
In regards to what? I mean, what was the amount of force that I used?
In 1971, Cohen v. California went further. A man wore a jacket with a curse word protesting the draft. His conviction was reversed. The court ruled the government cannot punish speech simply because it offends listeners nearby. So when Dial reasoned offensive signs, people called, therefore arrest, he applied a legal standard that does not exist. Officer forgets Constitution? Again. Knowles' signs were not aimed at one person and were not fighting words. The deposition took a stranger turn. Alexander asked about alleged profanity Knowles supposedly shouted at passing cars.
I said earlier that you conducted an investigation after you arrived on the scene that day with Knowles. What were the results of that investigation?
In regards to what?
Did you find anything during your investigation that caused you to arrest Knowles, that caused anyone to arrest Knowles?
Through our investigation, we determined that disorderly conduct had been committed
How did disorderly conduct get committed?
due to the verbiage that was on the signs, and we had received complaints.
If you received the same complaints and those signs had said something different, would Knowles have been arrested?
The same complaints in what? Because the complaint we had was, it was vulgar and offensive.
What I'm asking you is, if the complaints were the same, but the contents of the signs were different, would Knowles have been arrested?
Objection form.
That's speculation because I don't know what verbiage you're referring to.
What if the sign said Blue Lives Matter?
How is Blue Lives? There's nothing vulgar about Blue Lives Matter. There's no profanity in Blue Lives Matter.
Are you saying that if the sign said Blue Lives Matter, Knowles would not have been arrested?
I'm telling you that based on the complaints that we received that day, a guy telling me that he was offended by the profanity and vulgar that was being used in the signs.
Objection, non-responsive. If the complaints were the same, but the sign said Blue Lives Matter, would Knowles have been arrested that day?
Objection found.
There's no vulgar or profanity in blue light in the verb or term, the verbiage or term blue lives matter.
Do you think anyone that says a bad word publicly should be arrested?
No.
Why not?
Did someone complain on them, or they just out there just throwing a fit? No complaints. I mean, there's several reasons why we would not arrest someone. I mean, if nobody finds it offensive, then disorderly conduct's not met.
So if the language on the signs had not offended someone, Knowles would have been arrested, or would he not have been arrested?
So you're telling me we didn't receive any calls and nobody complained to us? Would we have arrested Knowles that day?
Correct.
No, we wouldn't have. Not have.
Picture this. A street corner in Royce City, Texas, December 15th, 2018. A man stands alone, holding signs. Just cardboard and marker. No weapon, no threat, just words some drivers did not like. Minutes later, that same man is face down on the pavement, hands cuffed behind his back, arrested for holding paper. A grown man on the ground because of a sign. That is the image you will not shake for the rest of this video. Before we go further into what the deposition actually shows, make sure you are subscribed to Police Misconduct Case, because we follow the evidence, page by page, quote by quote.
And seems to be based on the
Winston Knowles
state
was not
disorderly
some
conduct
random
statute,
troublemaker.
which, under
He was
section
an independent investigative
42.01 of
journalist
the Texas
known
Penal
online
Code,
as
states
Otto
that
the
an
Watchdog.
individual commits an
His job
offense
was
by
standing in
intentionally
public,
or
holding
knowingly
signs,
using
filming reactions.
abusive,
Some signs
indecent,
used
profane,
profanity.
or vulgar
That is
language in a
legal.
public
Public,
place.
maybe, but legal. The First Amendment has no exception for words some drivers found annoying. Sergeant Nick Dial responded to a phone call, not a crime in progress, a complaint. Within minutes, Dial knocked the signs out of Knowles' hands, not seized through any legal process, just slapped away. Then, Knowles was thrown to the ground, handcuffed, and charged with disorderly conduct and resisting arrest.
Words, which the Supreme Court defined in the 1942 case of Chaplinsky v. New Hampshire as direct, face-to-face insults likely to provoke the average person to respond with immediate violence. The court later reinforced in the 1971 case of Cohen v. California that vulgar political expression does not rise to the level of fighting words when it is not a personal, targeted epithet aimed at a particular individual.
Here is the irony. Those charges were dropped, quietly. No trial, no conviction. Which means, legally, nothing Knowles did that day was a crime. But the damage was already done. Arrested, humiliated, cuffed in public for holding a sign. Officer forgets Constitution. Remember that phrase, because it returns. Knowles later filed a civil rights lawsuit in the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Texas. Attorney Daniel Alexander eventually took the case and put Sergeant Dial under oath.
How do you believe that Mr. Knowles resisted arrest?
When we went to touch him, to place his hands behind his back, he fell to the ground and rolled around, or I don't know what the term is, but allowed us to keep from obtaining his hands.
Did Knowles come into contact with you while you alleged that he resisted?
Like physically contact?
Right.
Don't believe so.
After Knowles hit the ground, did he say anything?
I don't recall.
Did you ask him any questions?
I do not recall that either.
Did any officer ask him any questions?
Sorry, I don't remember.
What disorderly conduct do you believe Knowles committed that day of his arrest?
Using profanity at motorists passing by.
You're referring to the profanity on the signs?
No, shortly before my arrival, he, I guess, used profanity at motorists that had their windows down. And as I come up, Officer Clark's explaining that to him.
But you didn't see that or hear that.
That is correct.
Did Clark tell you what that profanity was?
He said he's already heard him using, and I don't remember the exact verbiage or terms, but I've already heard you out here cussing at motorists. I believe is how Clark worded it in the videos I'm walking up.
What specifically did Clark say to you about Knowles' prior disorderly conduct?
He was explaining it to Knowles that as I'm walking up, he's explaining it to him that, look, I've already heard you out here cussing at people.
So he was talking to Knowles, not you.
That is correct.
Did any motorists complain about the prior alleged profanities that Knowles said before you arrived?
Well,
A deposition is not a trial. It is sworn testimony recorded for later use in court. Under Texas rules, a defending lawyer can mostly only object to the form of a question, meaning it's confusing or improperly worded. Even then, the witness usually still has to answer. The objection is just a note for a judge to review later, not a shield. In this deposition, objection, form, repeated so often it became a rhythm. But Dial still had to answer. Alexander asked directly, "Why did you hit the signs from his hands?" Dial's response was almost comedy. Dial said Officer Clark told him about it, but under oath, Dial admitted he could not name a single word Knowles allegedly used.
The one gentleman told me about the signs, and regarding what the people on 911 called in about, I do not recall that.
So every complaint that you received was about the signs. Is that right?
That I'm not aware of. I don't know what the people that called or the verbiage used when dispatch gave us the call, if it was about the signs, if it was about language.
So you can't remember if anyone complained about verbal language and you didn't hear any allegedly profane verbal language from Knowles at the scene.
I did not hear it, but I heard Clark explaining to Knowles that he has already witnessed it or observed it himself.
Do you know anything about any actual allegedly profane verbal statements that Knowles made?
From Officer Clark, yes.
What was the language that Officer Clark told you he used?
I don't remember exactly what it was.
What do you remember that Clark told you?
Clark didn't tell me anything. I heard it as I was walking up.
As you sit here today, you cannot give me one allegedly profane verbal statement that Knowles made. Is that correct?
I know he made them, but you're asking me for specifically what he said, and I don't know what that is. It's on video. It's in a report.
What is on video?
Where Officer Clark is explaining to Winston, I've already heard you cussing a motorist or using profanities or vulgarities, or I don't know the exact term, but Clark is explaining to Winston Knowles as I'm walking up what has occurred.
Did you ask Clark what he means?
No, I did not.
So you don't know what profanities Knowles said?
Verbatim, no, I do not.
Do you know one word of profanity that Knowles said?
No, I do not.
Not one. He helped justify an arrest based on secondhand profanity he never personally heard and could not identify. Alexander then pressed Dial's own training. Did he remember First Amendment training from the Academy in 2007? No. Hours studied, not recalled. Instructor's name? Not recalled. Any further constitutional training in 16 years since? Not recalled either.
And you are not aware of any person that was offended by what Knowles said?
No.
Was anybody offended by the contents of those signs?
The gentleman that flagged us down there on Main Street, and there were some callers that called in that were either offended by his language or what was on the signs.
Did they say that they were offended specifically?
That I do not recall.
Did they use the word offended?
That I do not recall.
Did they use the word upset?
That I do not recall.
Do you know any specific words that any person complaining about Winston Knowles said?
No, I do not.
Were you offended by what Winston Knowles said?
No.
Were you offended by the contents of his signs?
No.
Why did you think they were offensive?
I didn't think they were offensive.
So why did you arrest them?
He was arrested. He was arrested because people had either called 911 or flagged us down about a gentleman that had offensive signs, and obviously Clark observed him using offensive language while he was there.
If Knowles said the draft, would you have arrested him?
Objection, Paul.
Directly to me or to who?
To anyone.
If they were offended about it, yes.
So are you saying that if anyone said anything offensive to anyone, you would arrest them?
I don't think certain terms, just because you're offended by them, does not constitute that. But when you have vulgarities or profanities in there, yes, I believe it is.
So you would arrest somebody if a citizen complained about vulgarities.
Objection upon.
So if a citizen made the police department or dispatch aware that they had used profanities and vulgarities and were offended, would I arrest someone?
16 years carrying a badge and the power to arrest, and under oath, this officer could not recall learning where protected speech ends and a crime begins. Officer forgets Constitution for the third time, because now you know exactly what it means. Not an insult, a documented fact from his own sworn words.
That's what I'm asking.
Yes.
How many people would you say you arrest in a year?
Have no clue.
You can't tell me an average number of people that you arrest every year?
That is correct. I have absolutely no clue.
How long have you been a police officer?
15 years now? 16 years?
Then you have no idea how many people you arrest per year.
Objection upon.
Sir, I don't keep up with statistics like that. I don't have a clue how many tickets I write a year.
Have you arrested more than 5 people in your career?
I believe that would be an accurate statement.
Have you observed more than 10 arrests in your career?
I'd probably say I have observed more than 10 arrests in my career.
Have you observed more than 15 arrests in your career?
I'd probably say that's an accurate statement.
How about more than 20?
I could probably say that's an accurate statement. Over 15 years, yeah, I've observed more than 20 people get arrested.
Have you observed more than 25?
That I don't know.
Have you observed more than 30 arrests in your career?
I don't know.
Do you remember any specific details about your training regarding First Amendment rights?
No, I do not.
Are you saying that you don't remember one word from your training regarding First Amendment rights?
Objection.
That is correct.
Are you sure that the First Amendment related training occurred?
We went over the elements of the Constitution, and I believe the First Amendment is part of the Constitution.
But specifically the First Amendment, you don't remember.
Correct.
Do you remember how long you spent studying constitutional rights?
No, I do not.
Have you had any training related to constitutional rights since you became an officer?
I do not recall.
Have you had any training at all since you became an officer?
Yes.
What topics have you been trained on since you became an officer?
I don't recall all of them.
Name one.
Accident investigation.
Anything else?
I'm sure there's others.
Where did you receive the training regarding constitutional rights in 2007?
As when I was in the police academy, is that what you're referring to?
I'm referring to the training that you referred to, that you received in 2007 regarding First Amendment rights.
The Collin County College Police Academy.
Here is the hard evidence. On April 15th, 2023, the case ended in settlement. Reports say Knowles received just under $25,000, taxpayer money, paid because an arrest built on a misunderstanding of the First Amendment could not survive federal scrutiny. Public records show Nick Dial still serves at Royce City Police Department, now as a captain in criminal investigations. To be fair, this channel does not exist to torch officers. Dispatch calls come fast, with limited information, a genuinely hard job. Nobody claims Dial woke up planning to violate anyone's rights. But intent is not the legal question. The Constitution asks only whether the arrest was lawful. Here, the answer, one a jury never had to reach because the city settled first, points toward no.
And who trained you in constitutional rights?
Could not tell you.
Because you don't remember?
You're asking for the instructor's name? No, I do not remember the instructor's name.
How many hours did you spend studying constitutional rights?
Do not recall.
Do you remember anything about the protections provided to citizens by the First Amendment?
No, I do not.
Are you aware that the First Amendment gives citizens what's known as the freedom of speech? Have you heard of the freedom of speech?
I have.
What do you think that means?
Interpretations are a dime a dozen, but basically someone can speak freely.
Does the First Amendment protect a person from being arrested because of what they say?
Objection form calls for legal conclusion.
Do I answer it? Answer. I think at times it may.
Has the police department provided you with any subsequent training on constitutional rights since you've been an active officer?
I do not recall.
Have you received any training, guidance, or instruction regarding First Amendment rights while you've been a police officer?
Objection form.
In the police academy, I know we went over the constitutional rights.
But anything since then?
I do not recall.
Have you ever arrested anybody because they said something?
I do not recall.
Are you saying that in your entire career that you cannot remember one time that you arrested somebody because of a statement they made?
Objection form.
That is correct.
You said that a few days ago you were able to review the dash cam video of this arrest.
That is correct.
Did you watch the full video?
Of who's recording?
Your dash cam recording.
I watched the first few minutes until Mr. Knowles was placed in the handcuffs.
You know what the final result of this case was for Mr. Knowles?
I do not.
This case matters because it shows how constitutional violations really happen, not through conspiracy, but through an officer confusing "people are offended" with "a crime occurred." Those are not the same thing. Combine that confusion with a badge and gun, and you get a man face down on a sidewalk for holding cardboard. Sergeant Dial's full deposition is part of the public record in the Northern District of Texas, tied to Knowles' 2020 federal filing. Go read it yourself. Then answer this in the comments. If an officer cannot explain his own constitutional training after 16 years, should he still get to decide, on the spot, which speech is a crime?